Who talks first? You talk first? I talk first? We all talk first about Poe Dameron. That's what we're going to do here. Welcome, everybody. This is the Resistance Broadcast. I'm John. Thanks so much for joining us today. We hope you're having a great week. It is Thursday, and we are continuing our discussion series on the sequel trilogy characters. James making sure. Is it Thursday, James?
The calculations seem correct.
Calculations are correct. We're continuing our sequel trilogy character discussions. Last week, I don't know if you checked it, but if you didn't, go back and check it out after this. We talked about Finn. This week, it's all about Poe Dameron, his arc, his story, now that the sequel trilogy has come to a close. So we'll get into that later. As always with me, as you just heard, James, also Lacey. Lacey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Oh, good, good. How's 3PO doing back there behind you? A very Phantom Menace-y 3PO.
He's naked.
He is naked. What do you mean naked? My parts are showing. Oh my. All right. So, are you guys excited to talk about Poe Dameron? I can't tell if you guys are huge Poe Dameron fans or not. No, we haven't really talked about that, but I love the character, so I'm pretty pumped, especially after the Rise of Skywalker. I thought they did a good job with him. So, what do you guys think, James? Pumped?
I like the character of Poe Dameron, but I don't think the storytellers have him figured out.
Really? Interesting.
No.
Okay. Lacey, I know you're a big Rise of Skywalker fan, and what'd you think about how they rounded him out? We'll talk about it more later, but you excited to talk about Poe Dameron?
I love Poe. I think he's great. I think Oscar Isaac is great. I want to know what all those pockets are for. I was looking at pictures of him today to prepare, and he has all these pockets in his costume.
I know a little bit.
What does he carry in all the pockets?
James, do you know?
I know that he carries his mom's wedding ring on a necklace.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
But that's irrelevant.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into it.
And he's got hot pants.
Leads anywhere.
You have his helmet behind you right there, right, Lacey?
Yeah.
So how about for that discussion, you wear that for the entire discussion?
I'm not wearing the helmet.
If you want Lacey to wear the Poe Dameron helmet for a discussion, obviously it won't be this one because you're commenting on the episode that's out already, so you can't go back in time.
To 33133.
Don't do that because you'll probably get some kind of virus on your phone.
No, you know what?
Leave a comment that just says, "Wear the helmet, Lacey. Wear it."
That, or we could do one of those things that kids do on like TikTok where they're like, how many likes will it take for so-and-so for me to get a puppy? And the mom will be like, 1 million. I'd say if we get like 500 retweets on a tweet, I'll wear the helmet the whole episode.
What if this episode gets 1 million views? Will you wear the helmet for an entire year on the podcast?
A year? At 1 million? Sure.
Okay.
I still say we do the text yes to 33 because worst case scenario, you get a dancing frog ringtone. I mean, that's
sure. Or you're voting for somebody on like American Idol.
I totally forgot about that, James. He just said.
I don't even know what that is. What is that?
If you want this ringtone, whatever.
We're already off the rails.
I totally forgot about those.
Lacey's going to watch this episode and start laughing because she's
herself.
Yeah. Actually, Lacey might laugh later in Resistance Transmissions, but we'll get to that later.
You guys can't make fun of me for laughing. There's worse things.
No. We're making fun of you for laughing at yourself.
Laughing at you laughing.
24 hours later, yeah.
Like
I laugh at everybody laughing. I said that. Everybody, including myself.
You making
she
you
laughs
laugh.
At old guys crying, too.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that wasn't exactly. No.
We should just replace this whole episode with that ringtone.
All right. Now, our patrons don't necessarily text us, but they do send in comments. And this week, we figured we're full back, our regular slate. Monday, back to business. Thursday, we're back to business. It's time to honor the patrons. James, Will of the Force, where's Cheer It? Let's get this thing cracking.
I fear nothing, for all is as the Force wills it.
That was him. There he was.
Can you text your that?
You know, it's funny too, John, because like behind the scenes, we're not playing the clip, but like when John says it, we wait for a second and I hear it in my head. But yeah, like John was saying, we're doing all what?
I hear nothing, but all is
Yeah.
as the Force wills.
I see nothing, but all is the Force hears it.
Yes.
All right. We're doing an all patron submission episode, so we're kicking it off right away with Commander Paul Howe. And Commander Paul wants to know, will we see, or this is odd, will we see or hear rumblings of attempts to resurrect Palpatine in The Mandalorian? So since that show's already come out and the answer is no, I'm going to go with no. No, I'm just kidding. He means season 2, right? Lacey, what do you think? Do you think we're going to hear rumblings about trying to resurrect Palpatine? The Mandalorian season 2.
Can we start with John on this one because it's Palpatine?
John, Palpatine. What are you thinking?
Ah, man, it is a tough question. I hope so, because I like the idea of connecting stuff, and I do kind of think that there was a reason why they tied things together with the Baby Yoda and the healing and Palpatine wanting Rey for her powers. I think it's very possible that we find out that a part of the reason why they were trying to capture Baby Yoda was for the purposes of bringing Palpatine back or restoring his powers or something like that. You can still keep Mandalorian separate because you're not bringing Palpatine in, but there needs to be a purpose as to why they wanted Baby Yoda, and they still haven't given it that to us. So I think not only are we going to get his name, because those Christmas toys are going to have his official name on it this coming year. We're going to get his actual name, probably where he came from, and why they want him. Those 3 questions are going to be answered, and I think that reason might be, like I was just saying, about the resurrection of Palpatine for his healing powers and that sort of thing. So what the heck? We will.
All right, he's going to get pied if they don't. All right, Lacey, what do you think?
What?
I actually agree. I was actually interested to see if he'd say no, but I was always going to say yes. I think they will, basically because of what John said. But the funny thing is, before Mandalorian came out, I would have said no so fast. But because of Baby Yoda and what we saw in the Rise of Skywalker and how they want him so bad, and it's like unsure what they're doing, and there's cloning involved and like Empire-ish stuff, I'm gonna say yeah, we will.
You guys bring up good points, but my initial reaction was no. And I think because this is so long ago, in retrospect to it's 7 years after his death, so maybe he's back by now and he's just starting to, or he's about to be back or something, I guess. But
it just reminds me of Austin Powers where the guy's not dead yet. And he's got the fire.
Will Ferrell?
Yeah, he's like, I'm not dead.
But I don't know. I just kind of think like if that was going on, it's a pretty well kept secret. And if people were kind of like rumbling and rumoring that they were trying to bring Palpatine back at this point, is somewhere along the lines, our heroes would have already heard about this or knew that this was in the process. And they seem very out of left field when it actually happens. So,
it's a good point.
But you guys have a good point. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did it. The next question is another patron submission from General Jeremy Myers. You guys may know Jeremy from the Patreon Podrace that happens every once in a while. He gets his shot to say something, but now he's getting to ask us a question, and the question is going to be, will season 2 of The Mandalorian actually take us to and finally reveal the planet where Yoda's species comes from? Now, who am I starting with? Because John did the last one. Lacey. Then
Lacey's big window, so she's right there.
Well, you don't know that.
we don't know where anybody is.
We're on
One of
the
these.
podcast between worlds.
Will we know his species? Yes, we will. Is that the question? Species?
Will we go? Will we go to and finally reveal the planet where Yoda's species comes from?
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. No, we will not go to his home planet. I think they will name it, though. I think we'll get a name. I just don't think we're going to go there.
A name of the planet?
Yeah.
A name of the species.
You will find out that the planet was like destroyed or something. Because the question is, will we go to the planet, right?
And if we go to the planet, they'd have to say that's Bobulon, so he's a Babylonian, right?
I think it's mixed. I think Jeremy's kind of saying, will the name of the planet be revealed and will we go there? It's kind of like a two-parter.
I think we will get a name of the species. I think we'll get a name of the home planet, but I think that home planet's gone.
He thinks that if we go there, then we definitely are going to get the name of it. So he says, are we going to go there and finally get the name?
I think we're going to get the name regardless.
I think he's kind of assuming both happens. John, what do you think?
I hope not. So I'm going to say no. I know this is like very old school mentality, but I like the whole preservation of the secrecy behind Yoda's species as one of the final remaining secrets in Star Wars. I don't want to know where Yoda went to high school. I don't want to know all that stuff. I don't need to know.
That's Project Luminous, dude. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, you have to go back 1,000 years, so it can't be Project Luminous. But I don't know, man. This whole idea that we need to know everything about everything, it's a very recent thing, and I'm not a part of that. I don't need that. I think we'll get his name and we'll find out why they need him, but I hope they don't go too far back with the species. I hope they keep it here and kind of bring us forward, but we'll see. So I'm going to say no, but I think Lacey's probably right. I just hope not.
John's getting pied if he's wrong.
I think we will not go to the planet that he is from, but I think that we might see other of his species. Kind of like E.T. Like, we did return him back to his parents, but we never went to or learned anything about that species.
You clearly didn't go on the ET ride. ET ride, you go to his home planet.
You do. Do you
think...
and it's weird, too. I don't care about helping his friends and weird things.
Wait a minute. You think we're going to see Baby Yoda's parents? Is that what you're saying?
I said we're going to return him to his parents in reference to E.T., but yes, we're going to return him to people of like-minded ability to keep him safe, maybe.
Imagine like Yoda's like his uncle. There's just like another guy.
Uncle Yoda.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want a bunch of Yodas walking around, though, so... All right, next question. Patreon submission from Major Steve Renner. Steve wants to know, now that IG-11, these are all Mandalorian questions. Now that IG-11 and Kuill are gone, spoiler alert, and Cara Dune has stayed behind with Greef Karga, will the Mandalorian have new temporary sidekicks in season 2? If so, what species or personality would you most like to see? John, you're first. This is an all Mandalorian episode. Just kidding. Not really.
Will they have new temporary sidekicks? I'm going to say yes, because I think they're going to keep that whole, he goes somewhere and does this thing. And what species? I don't care. Or personalities? I don't know. I think
okay, Harrison Ford. I don't care.
Yeah. Personalities. I would like to see maybe he hangs with another bounty hunter or something. Like he's a part of this guild and he keeps not hanging out with them. Like hanging out with you're part of the guild, man. Hang out with another bounty hunter. Like give me some of that.
You still have your members card.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't care what species. But yeah, maybe another bounty hunter would be pretty cool. And I think, yeah, he'll probably meet some new characters and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Lacey, what do you think?
Yes, I think they're going to keep up with him, like John said, meeting new people everywhere he goes. He's going to be on the run, obviously. I would like to see him with another Mandalorian sidekick, like not just him, but someone else too would be cool. I also think it would be really funny if they had a Gungan that wasn't like Jar Jar Binks. Like a very like slick, like badass,
like the last
Gungan.
shot Gungan.
Yes, that would be cool. Not that I don't love Jar Jar Binks. I love Jar Jar Binks before people freak out. I just think it would be cool to juxtapose something.
You
really
love
cool.
Jar Jar Binks?
Yeah, I think he's funny.
Okay. I definitely think they're going to give him new sidekicks. When I hear that, you know, the other characters are gone or whatever, it just means that they're going to bring in new characters to sell toys for and introduce new you know, people into the world or whatever. So that definitely is happening. For species and personalities, could be really cool to get a Wookiee. That would be neat. And kind of like a black chrysanthemum type Wookiee who's more of a bounty hunter. Could be good to also get like a Togruta or maybe like a nice Twi'lek, something like that. I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah, we got one and it was good, and I'm glad that it was that.
And they were
well, yeah, but they were like background. We saw Twi'leks, but we didn't really get like well, okay, you're saying his like her brother.
Yeah.
Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
the
that's
bounty.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of her because she's the main focus.
Speaking of sidekicks, someone pointed out this past week on Twitter, I think it was Yakface, about how they used to do action figures of all these random sidekicks, creatures, aliens, all these other things. They haven't really done that lately with the new movies, which I found interesting because I feel like TFA, they had all these different things. And then now they've only been doing really main characters. So maybe they should do more weird stuff.
I feel like action figure sales in general have been down though.
Maybe. I just like the weird ones.
I have a friend who's into like toys like big time, and he always had these really crazy opinions on like toy sales and what these companies are doing and how they're handling their toys and stuff.
Sure.
And I actually think that TFA kind of made a mistake when they were like, toys, it's Star Wars. Do you remember the prequels? And they just like went crazy with it. And then they realized that like, oh wait, we don't understand this market. People don't buy toys, or it's like a different world than it used to be.
Right.
And
They
so
went
that's
too
why we
hard.
got Constable Zuvios. And now when you go in the aisle, like straight up 100%, it's like a whole aisle of Frozen 2. And it's like this section is Star Wars, you know?
It's really small. Yeah.
I remember going after The Last Jedi, maybe around before the Solo stuff hit the shelves, and you go and it's a very thin aisle, and there's like a couple of pilots and like 8 Rose Tico action figures and like a lightsaber, and you're just like, this is the Star Wars section? Like, is this the pre-Star? Is there another aisle for Star Wars?
Yeah.
And I think what hurts it now, and I don't want to drag this out because it's Will of the Force, but online sales, like the hunt of getting the action figure is gone now. You can just go on Amazon and be like, that's the one I want. Bang. Whereas it used to be like, I got to go to the store and check the pegs, and is my favorite one there? And now it's just so easy to get it. Like the hunt, the treasure hunt of getting the figures.
Well, that's why they
gone.
do store exclusives now.
Yeah. Yeah, true. They're trying to do that. Yeah.
Because like I remember going to like Walgreens and seeing like a exclusive Force Ghost Obi-Wan and stuff like that.
Kenobi, the one that just came out, was a Walgreens exclusive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take it on a tangent. It was just very interesting that side characters have kind of been pushed aside.
Say, sometimes you have to let the natural flow of a discussion happen.
Yeah, all right, you guys shut up. All right, patron submission, Admiral. I'm just kidding. Admiral Jetta Rosewater has another question for us, and Jetta wants to know, will we see collaboration between Timothy Zahn and Dave Filoni on future Rebels Thrawn and Ezra story? So this question she put to whether it's books or TV series or anything like that. The big question here, we're going to see Tim Zahn and Dave Filoni writing the Thrawn and Ezra story. John, we just talked a little bit about this on Monday. What do you think?
Nope.
No, he says. Why so?
I did a little research. Timothy Zahn has, to this point, never been involved in writing for Thrawn outside of his novels. So he wasn't involved in the writing of Thrawn and Rebels at all. So I would find it odd that they're like, let's take him and bring him into our new, first big budget Rebels series for Disney Plus and see if he can get his hands involved in that. He's doing the books, and that's his thing, and Dave Filoni's over here doing the animation department. They're not going to cross those paths if they haven't yet. So I'm saying no.
Lazy, what do you think?
I'm going to say no as well. I didn't do my research, but just from what I've heard from Dave in panels and interviews and such, like he keeps his process kind of close to himself, I think. And like you hear about someone like JJ who's like, oh, I asked 6 people what they thought about this story and I brought in this person and this person. Like you don't really hear that from Dave. So I'm just going to assume no.
I think you guys are right as far as like a big public thing, but to me, I don't see how Dave would be able to not give him a phone call, you know, and be like, hey man, what's going on? You're writing 3 books, a new Thrawn trilogy, the Chiss ascendancy, all this stuff.
Oh, sure.
Real quick, what's going on over there? You know, I think that they have to have conversations about what this guy's doing or what his ultimate plans are with this character. But I think you're probably right as far as it's not going to be Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni like co-producing this new series.
Right.
Absolutely not. No.
Right.
He's going to be a consultant at best. So I hope that's, I mean, if it happens, that's fine, you know. So if you're hoping for it, I hope it happens too. That'd be cool.
Thrawn fans will love it for sure.
Yeah. All right, our last Patreon submission, our patron Commander Alexander Zoukas wants to know, congrats Alexander for getting on the show. You've been accepted to the Imperial Academy and failed to become a trooper or a pilot. What will your jobs within the Empire be? So Lacey, I had a hard time understanding this exactly. So you were actively trying to become a trooper and you failed at that, is the question?
Yeah.
So you can only pick a job below a trooper?
Or something else, I guess. I think he's trying to pick
something
something obvious or something that's not as obvious as a trooper or a pilot.
Okay.
Which my response would be probably because I'm terrible with direction, so I'd be a terrible trooper, and I don't know how to fly anything, so that makes sense. But I'd probably be that girl on the deck that would walk up and be like, everything's ready, sir. Like that person. That's what I'd be.
You just have a different accent all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Terrible we scanned
British
the
accent.
Necklace. Like, you're that girl.
Yeah, the one that's like, it's in persona. Like, that's the person I'd be.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you do that
and
again?
he's like, you found this out
It's
directly?
in
And she's
persona.
like, no, I just had other people do it, and then I brought it over here.
Like, you know what I'm talking about? I'm trying to think of, like, in TFA, the girl that's from Ant-Man, that they turn to her, and she's like, it'll be ready in 3 minutes, sir. Like, that's who I would be.
Ah, okay. So you're like
the one-liner.
You're standard, like, first order update person.
Yeah.
She's the guy playing Galaga on the Avengers ship.
The Emperor's here, sir.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
John, what are you going to be?
I would be a writer for Empire's propaganda material.
That is very close to home, yet very interesting.
I would help them sell their message of the Empire and why it's a good thing.
Nice.
Not that I believe in the Empire. I hate the Empire.
Yeah.
You'd probably make a really catchy hashtag.
But it's just
you'd probably be doing it and thinking that good things are happening because of it.
Yeah. I mean, I just got to put food on the table for my family. It's a job, you know?
And then I would walk in the room and be like, here are the papers, sir.
Your pen is ready.
So assuming
like,
the question isn't a job less than a trooper or a pilot, I would think it would be cool to work like within that like secret stuff, like the Tarkin Initiative, like kind of like Galen Erso, like scientist trying to create some cool new tech like hyperspace tracking. That'd be some sweet stuff.
So
That's
we've
what I'd like
measured
to
out
do.
all of our egos on
Yeah.
what our jobs would be. Lacey would
Well,
be.
I tried to run
Here's the
around and
update, sir.
shoot
I
at
hate
people,
myself.
but that didn't work out. So they made me a science officer.
James is like, I'd be like the top secret guy doing the top secret things. Lacey's like, here's your pen, sir.
Here's your coffee, sir. It's on Persona. Yeah. I'm an idiot.
Why don't we pass on to the next topic, huh?
Uh,
I don't know what that means.
you want to be
All
the
right,
writer
Patreon-
for the Empire?
Patreon pod race. Lacey, take it away. That's it for Will of the Force, guys. I'm out.
All right. Time for the Patreon pod race. So as you guys know, we have Patreon. If you don't know, where you been?
Yeah. Watch an episode once.
Patreon.com/resistance broadcast. It's a way for you to support us outside the show of liking, commenting, subscribing, following, etc. So every week we have our generals on, who are part of our top tier, to give us 60 seconds of an answer to a question to be a part of the show. And this week, I'm really excited. We have someone from our rotating slot, General Seth Keim. And we asked him for his first pod race, if the next Star Wars films end up taking place hundreds of years before the prequels, would you want Yoda to be a part of them? Take it away, Seth.
So yeah, I would like to see Yoda in the High Republic era movie that could be coming out. As to how he shows up, I know there was a poll that was done that you guys will probably discuss a little bit. But I would rather see more of the original Yoda puppet rather than a CG version. But that's just me because I'm just a fan of the puppeteering in Star Wars. But yeah, having him in that trilogy again, maybe not as a real driving force behind the movie, but in there a little bit, maybe to help move a plot line along, or as part of the Jedi Council, I think would be really cool. But yeah, I mean, who wouldn't love to see Yoda back in Star Wars? That's my take on it. I'd love to hear your guys' responses on the episode. So may the Force be with you.
I thought you said it was Seth Keim. That was Chewbacca in the video.
I just got so confused when you said that because it was so genuine.
I thought we just watched Chewbacca, right?
It's not Chewbacca, sir. Seth, well done. Well done, sir. John,
Yeah,
as our resident Chewbacca fan.
that's right. Oh, hang on.
Oh no. Oh no.
What's
All
happening?
right, guys. Audio listeners, he
just peaced
left.
out.
I don't know what this is going
James,
to be.
what did you think? Go ahead,
I
James.
thought, oh my gosh.
No,
here he
James is
comes.
going now.
I'm going now while John
Go ahead,
puts
go.
on his Chewbacca Snuggie. I thought this was great, and I think it was obviously similar to what we did say on previous episodes about, him. Actually, I think that was Patreon exclusive, so you saw it. Maybe some other people didn't. We like the idea of Yoda coming back, or we think it's kind of inevitable, so that's fine. And yeah, it'd be good to kind of have him as this mix between like puppetry or animatronic or whatever they want to do and CG to kind of blend in those more realistic elements like blinking and breathing and skin texture and things like that. So shout out to Corridor Crew on the skin texture stuff. All right, John, what do you think? Or wait, no, I'm sorry. That's Chewbacca there. Chewbacca's just showing up everywhere. Nope, it's Jonas.
Seth, I want to know who you think is more comfortable. You in that zippy hoodie thing, or
Looks
me
like a
in
onesie.
Zippity doodah.
zippity onesie, or me in my chewy snuggie? This is pretty warm, I gotta say. But good answer. I mean, I'm always down for Yoda. I'm always a little skeptical on them exploring his past too much, but I'm always down for more Yoda, especially if Frank Oz is still down to do the voice, because I haven't liked anyone else who's done the voice of Yoda. It's got to be Frank Oz, always. But great job. Puppeteering, I'm all about that. I like the practical stuff. So you hit on everything that I would be on board with. So if they can pull that off that way, I am completely on board with what you're saying here. First pod race, so you knocked it out. Great job. And more importantly, thank you so much for all your support, man. Also being such a positive presence in our general war room on the Discord and Discord in general. And as a Star Wars fan in general, more people like you is what we need. So thank you, Seth.
Absolutely. Seth, amazing job. Love your onesie. I agree. You can never have too much Yoda. I'm all for it. I'm also for all the puppetry within Star Wars. I'm a huge fan of practical effects puppetry. I love the Muppets. So it just makes sense that they would continue that on because, I don't know, the CG doesn't really work for me. I like the puppet Yoda. I liked him in Last Jedi and the original trilogy. It just makes sense. And like John said, Frank Oz is just... He's Frank Oz. You can't replace him, which makes me wonder, by the way, supposedly they had Mark Hamill record a bunch of lines as Luke to have for record. And then similar with Marvel, they did something with Stan Lee where they had him do a bunch of scenes to keep on record. I wonder if they've had Frank Oz go in and just record a bunch of Yoda lines to have.
Man, I don't know. That's kind of morbid. It's like, hey, you're
it
getting
is
kind of old, man. You want to pop these off?
No, it is. But you have to remember they probably got paid to do it, so it's not like they didn't get anything to do it.
No, I know.
And then also it keeps their legacy going, which is kind of cool. But
Yeah.
Seth, awesome job. We hope to see you soon on the pod race again. But thank you so much for your support. And now we're going to head into the discussion about Poe Dameron. John, take it away.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
All right, guys, as you know, The Rise of Skywalker has completed the sequel trilogy, so we're going to continue our character discussions on each of the four main characters. That's Finn, Poe, Rey, and Kylo Ren. Last week, we talked about Finn, and now it's time for his buddy, the one who gave him his name, Poe Dameron. From being born next to a force tree, faithful to General Leia Organa, to becoming the leader of the resistance fight himself, let's talk all about our favorite spice runner, Poe Dameron. I'll just start by saying I like the fact that this character has shades of Han Solo, but I really think there's stark differences between Poe and Han in terms of how they operated their flyboy kind of cowboy ways, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But I have to say, like, I'm so glad that JJ and Terrio wrote Poe the way they did in The Rise of Skywalker. He had a lot of screen time, a lot of chemistry with both Finn and Rey. That those relationships carried that movie, and it was so necessary at this point in the trilogy, having not had that yet. And I think Oscar did a fantastic job of bringing that relationship to the middle of it, not like when they first met. So we picked them up here a year later, and it just felt like they were in the pocket. And just overall, Poe Dameron as like a leader and the follow-up to Leia, he's like blends of a little bit of Leia, a little bit of Han. I feel like he's a conglomerate of a lot of our characters that we love. And that's where I'm going to leave off there to start. So, Lacey, let me hop over to you. Your initial takes on Poe Dameron's arc, where we first met him. Obviously, I know James probably wants to touch on earlier stuff with comics and predating TFA, but your thoughts on our flyboy?
Well, it's completely crazy to me that they were going to originally kill him. Like, that's just insane. That it went from a character that they were just going to kill to one of the most important characters of the sequel trilogy. And possibly the future of Star Wars if he's in the next movies, you know, if they decide to move forward with these characters, which they've kind of insinuated that they will. That being said, I don't think he really shines in TFA that much. He has his moments here and there. I love his interactions with Finn in TFA. I think that's where he really, really shines in that movie. The Last Jedi, I was not really a fan of what they did to that character. I felt like he was just kind of waiting, and then he got a little too arrogant. I thought the beginning part where he gets to fly the X-Wing with BB-8 was fun. And then when he kind of takes the stand at the end of The Last Jedi is great. But overall, I think my favorite movie for Poe is the Rise of Skywalker, which is funny because last week we had said, or I said, that my favorite story for Finn was the Rise of Skywalker. So it's just funny that I'm having these similar, like, oh, they finally got to flesh out these characters. Mm-hmm. I loved Poe, like you said, interacting with Finn and Rey. That whole bit at the beginning with Rey and Poe going back and forth for 5 minutes about the ship and BB-8 and like how they're like really struggling to like,
which was a reshoot apparently.
Right. I love that stuff. I think it's so funny. I don't want to be like that person, but I kind of called it that they were going to be that way. So I was really excited to see it on screen because I think it's perfect. It's perfect because Rey and Finn are so close. They needed to have that Poe and Finn are close, and then Rey and Finn are close, so that you'd have to assume that Poe and Rey are kind of going to butt heads a little bit. Plus, they're both pilots and stuff like that. But yeah, I think he had some of the funniest lines in the movie. He was just so like, he definitely had moments of Han Solo, which was really great, which I really enjoyed. I just wish, part of me wishes we could have gotten the three of them together in every single movie. I know why we didn't, but I wish that we did because that was my favorite part of The Rise of Skywalker. James?
I dig that.
Last week we did Finn, and Finn really has only had a couple things outside of the movies, but Poe is like completely massively different. He's had a lot of stuff happen to him outside of the films. And that kind of leads me to what I was saying, or what I was teasing earlier, is I really like Poe the character. He, I think, is at his absolute best in The Force Awakens. Because I think that they don't try to do something with him that he isn't. And I think that Last Jedi was fine to do what they were doing, except he had already had that arc in the comics. And I get that people don't read the comics, but if you look at Finn, the character, he has gone through a situation where he's been like, man, being the hotshot really messed things up and people died. I gotta fix myself, get it together, and become a leader, and now I'm ready to do it. He's done that 4 times.
You mean Poe, not Finn.
You said Finn.
I keep saying Finn, I think.
It's okay.
But Poe has done that 4 times.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
fair.
Exhausting when you're like, when you're reading Resistance Reborn and you're like, he gets it, he's going to do it, he's going to do this, he's going to come back, and now he's the leader and he's leading and it's good. And then you see Rise of Skywalker and he's like, I don't know how to do this, you know? What are we going to do? I know. And I even said that on our book discussion. I was like, I like where this book is going, and it makes perfect sense that he would sort all of this out, because he sorted it out in Last Jedi, but now he's got to sort it out with his friends and everything. And now he's back. He's 100%, and he's going to go into this movie being like 100% the leader that they need him to be. And he's still not, because Finn points out, you're no Leia. And he has to deal with that.
Yeah.
And it's just that's the one thing I don't think this. I think that every time somebody gets a chance to write Poe, they go, well, he's a hotshot, right? But he's eventually going to be the leader of the Resistance. So that's the arc that I'm going to take with him. And it's you got to figure something else out. And on top of that too, and man, now I'm feeling like I'm just complaining about Poe, but I like the character. The whole Spice Runner thing makes no sense at all. Like,
I actually like that about him.
But it doesn't make sense in his timeline. Like, we
Why?
already knew exactly what he was doing, and they're just like, oh, okay, well, he was involved with some Mexican cartel when he was also in the U.S. Army. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all.
He could have had a side hustle.
Okay.
Yeah. Some people do.
I mean,
blogs.
literally, if you even read the Wikipedia, it's also he was involved with the Kijimi Spice Runners.
Well, that's why.
Okay.
That's why I
get it at all.
I do find that exchange funny when he's like, "You were a stormtrooper. Oh, you were a scavenger." He's like, "I did other stuff too." Yeah,
I like Poe's story in a bubble. Like, if you're watching it and for the mass audience, you're like, oh, that makes sense. That's where he comes from. But also it kind of doesn't make sense to the character as a whole, and it just feels like they're not quite jiving with what they want this character to be. So they're every author is taking him in a different direction and inadvertently making him the same direction. Oh, you were a bad person and kind of got into some trouble. Now you're trying to fix everything. Like, all right.
Yeah, I think so. I wanted to make because people always want to say, oh, they just made him to be the Han Solo of this trilogy, and they want him to be the hotshot pilot, and well, we get it. He's like Han Solo, and he's good looking, and blah blah blah. But I think where their similarities lie are in personality traits, but for different reasons. Like Han Solo was a very stubborn character, but he was stubborn because he was arrogant. He's like, I'll get out of it. I'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. Whereas Poe was stubborn for good reasons. He's like, we have a chance to take out a dreadnought. Like, I'm going to do this. Like, shut off the comms. He's doing it because he knows it'll help them by taking out this big weapon. Whereas Han Solo would be like, I got this just because I know I'm the best. I'll take care of it. So they're both stubborn, but for different reasons, where Poe is more for the purpose and the cause. And Han Solo early on was like, I'm the man. All right, let me take care of this. So I think there's parallels there, but they're for different reasons. I also like the fact that, Poe sometimes will bite off more than he can chew, kind of like a Han Solo, when he says these types of things. But again, it's for different reasons. So you get these similar traits, but they come from a different root of the tree, I guess. And I like his hope, which I guess he gets from Leia. His refusal to just accept a situation. Like when Holdo's there and there's no plan, and he's like, tell us we have a plan. Tell us there's hope. Like he refuses to be backed against the wall. Like there's always a way to do more.
A way out. A fix.
Yeah, a way out, or there's something more that can be done. The refusal to quit, I guess, is big in Poe. And that was a big part of his. Well, I guess the only part of his part in The Last Jedi that I loved, because he was centralized to being on that ship and on that base for most of the movie outside of the first scene. But him fighting with Holdo and kind of saying like, pipe down, lady, like, this is not happening. Like, we are not doing this. I love that about him. He believes in the cause, and that really shined through in The Last Jedi for me. So I think I like Poe the least in The Force Awakens, and I know that's kind of weird. But it almost felt like, because they were going to kill him off at the beginning, that he didn't need to be in the rest of that movie. But the other two movies, I completely feel like he had to be there, and he was. But especially, like I said, The Rise of Skywalker, when my favorite part in Star Wars are the relationships, and he was all there for that. I finally bought in on him being a part of those connections, whereas he had a little time here with this person, a little time here with this person, a little time here with this person. Even with Leia not being a big part of this movie, I felt like they were all kind of in it together. I really feel like JJ captured that, and he was a huge part of it. Huge screen time for him in that movie.
That's fair. I disagree with you, though. I think TFA, he's the hero in TFA. He shows up to take on the bad guys. He takes out, the stormtroopers when they're on Takodana. Like, I feel like you get to see his skills and how good he is in TFA. And I felt like Last Jedi, you get that in the beginning of the movie, and then the rest of the movie, he just whines and then causes all the problems.
Which he causes the problems?
A lot of them, yeah.
That's kind of one of those things, I think, that she's saying he caused a lot of problems by doing what he felt he needed to be doing. Yeah.
I just felt like he went, right. I just feel like he went from TFA where he was like, I'm here for Leia. I'm listening to Leia. I'm doing what Leia wants. We're all in this together. We can figure this out, to I'm not listening to anyone. I'm right. You're wrong. Leia's wrong. I'm not going to listen to her. And then he shows up in The Rise of Skywalker and he's like, I'm doing what Leia says. Oh, I need to, help out Leia and do this thing. Oh, let's see what Leia wants to do. Like, it didn't make sense to me. And it kind of goes back to what James said, where it was like every time someone got a chance to write him, they were like, he's the snarky guy, but then he's got a heart of gold and he's there for the team. So I get that. But I feel like TFA, you get to see him as a good person more than The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi, I spent the whole movie mad at him. I was like, why are you being annoying right now?
I agree. You're right. I do agree with that in terms of TFA and the heroics and stuff like that. Sometimes I always focus more on the dialogue and the human element more than the wars and the fighting and the
like
action.
I
So you're
had
right.
straight up flashbacks to TFA in the Rise of Skywalker when he's there and he's like, guys, we just got to keep going. We got to keep doing this.
No, sure.
When at TFA, he's like, we're just going to keep bombing them, hit it as many times
Yeah.
as we can. Like, that's
Sure.
the Poe I love. The optimistic, I'm going to do this. I'm the best, but I'm doing it for everyone guy. Whereas Last Jedi, they made him into this, like, I don't know. He was just like rude and talking down to people above him. Like, Poe wouldn't have done that in TFA.
I don't know. That's tricky.
Not in the way he talked to Holdo.
Well, I feel like Holdo was like the anti-Leia to him, whether she was or not. He didn't see that Holdo had more similarities to Leia than he realized. He was kind of like, who are you? You're not Leia. It's like the stepmom syndrome. Like, you're not my mom that I grew up idolizing. Like, who are you coming in now? Like, Leia wouldn't do this or do that. I can get that. I don't think he was necessarily going against what Leia would have said. I think he thought Holdo was doing things that Leia wouldn't have done, I guess.
But he ultimately caused everybody to die. Like, he's the reason. Because he, like, told Finn and Rose what the plan was.
Oh, everybody
which then
is in,
gave
like,
the
on
details to
second and third
DJ,
ships.
which then DJ gave to the First Order.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's because Finn and Rose they found the wrong code breaker, and if it went to plan and they got the right code breaker, maybe Poe wouldn't have been
I
at
know
fault.
we're getting obviously into like writing details, but I just feel like that moment alone, I was like, if he just trusted in the process, maybe it would have gone better. And I feel like Finn and TFA would have reacted to that situation differently. Like, similar to, I keep going back to this, but like what James said is like, I feel like the character was written differently in all three movies, but yet TFA and The Rise of Skywalker, you see more similarities than The Last Jedi with this character.
I think sometimes Poe is ideally his, like, the characteristic that everybody loves about him is exactly that, the optimistic. You said that, Lacey. But when I think of the Poe that I like, it's almost like A New Hope Luke Skywalker. Not so much like when the family stuff happens in the later movies,
Right, the whiny
but like that,
stuff, yeah.
That first movie, he's very like, jump in the ship. We're gonna go take on these people.
You're gonna leave?
And,
Fine, leave. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that is probably the best represented as Poe. Well, I said in Force Awakens, but actually I think like Resistance probably has like the best understanding of Poe. They treat the people under him, like Kaz and that crew, as the people who need to learn their lessons. But Poe is always like on top of it, and he always has the right move, and he's got the plan, and that's what I think what we like about that character. And I think sometimes they miss kind of the mark on where it, like, okay, this character's great at everything, where are his flaws? And they tend to I think the writers tend to lean on the same flaws.
Oh,
and
his
it's kind of
flaw is that
unfortunate.
he's arrogant. Okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of boring. Like, that's
Like,
his
I
flaw.
would almost like to see him like have more of like a family connection that maybe isn't something like he got his mom killed and now he has to learn his lesson, which is the
Right.
same thing, but more along the lines of like maybe finding out that he has family here or something along those lines. Cause I don't know, again, like one of the storylines in the comic is that someone who, while his parents were off fighting in the rebellion, there was this person who was raising him, and because of something he did, that character got killed, and they had to like have a funeral for him. And it was issue 14, which is the one that was supposed to be based on Leia, you know, because she had just passed, so they wrote the issue about an important character to Poe dying so that they could kind of pay homage there. But again, like, I really like the character Poe, and I'll say that all day long. You ask me, I just wish that the bigger story of Poe could be like traced out in a better manner instead of them trying to figure out what he is. Still, like we've had 3 movies and multiple books and comics, and
I'll say this: like we as humans, we know that sometimes it takes a while to change your ways. And you may go down that path, and then you get pulled back, and you get sucked into what you're used to, your comfort zone. Sure. Jimmy, yeah, get out of here. But I think the thing we keep saying the arrogance and stubbornness with Poe, but I really think like when you think about where it comes from him, it's from a good place. Like he is trying to do it to be the best he can to help.
Yes.
He feels like there's not enough and he has to do more than he should by himself. I mean, the first shot of TLJ is a single X-Wing fighter facing a dreadnought, and it's Poe Dameron. That's a perfect symbolism of who he is as a character. Now, by the end of TLJ, though, he learns that sometimes to win the war, you have to lose the battle, and he does concede on Crate, whereas maybe at the beginning of the movie, he would go full charge and keep going after the First Order and lose even in a bigger massacre. Then let's run out of here. Let's get out of here. They can take this one. Let's get out of here. And Leia's like, yeah, follow him. I agree. And so you kind of see that growth in him in TLJ, even though it may be in a different sort of way. And then in the Rise of Skywalker, obviously we pick up a year or so later, and he is a bigger presence, and he is more inspirational again. And he's saying like, people will fight if we lead them. This is Leia's message. He's almost like if Leia was in the movie and Carrie Fisher didn't die, some of that dialogue would have been her probably. And they probably were like, he's her proxy at this point. And he feels that way until the very end when he's like, guys, I'm sorry. I did everything we could. We tried our best. Keep fighting. We're not going to go out. We're going to go out guns blazing. And then obviously Lando shows up and they save the day.
Which also is a different message than where he was at the beginning of The Last Jedi. Even though everybody around him was dying, he was still like, we won.
Yeah.
Right, right.
And it's like,
I think
this, he's like, I care about the deaths.
Right. I think, though, that my favorite part of The Rise of Skywalker with Poe was the comedic beats that he got, which he didn't get in previous movies. Because I feel like a lot of the lines that you get from him in The Rise of Skywalker would probably have been Finn in TFA. Like the kind of jokey moments of like, oh, I'm with a Jedi, or oh, I'm with the hero. Mm-hmm. I'm glad they gave those moments to Poe and not Finn, so that Finn got his moment to shine a little bit more, to be that serious hero. Mm-hmm. And then you have Poe lighting up the flashlight next to Rey, like hands down one of the funniest moments in the whole movie. Or like his interactions with C-3PO where they're holding hands. Mm-hmm. Like I loved those kind of moments with the whole beginning sequence with Chewie, Poe, and Finn in the Millennium Falcon is probably my favorite part of the movie, I would say, if not one of.
I agree. I think Poe is... I honestly think in this trilogy, Poe Dameron in The Rise of Skywalker is the funniest character out of all the 3 movies in one movie. I thought almost all of his parts that were supposed to be funny weren't like, oh, that's like...
No, they hit perfectly.
It was written really well with the humor, and like you say, his interactions with 3PO were great, very Han Solo-ish, putting the hand over the mouth sort of thing like Han would do. But yeah, the doink with the flashlight, but also just the little...
That got you every time, John.
Every time. Every time I laughed out loud. I always will. But like him and Rey, like it didn't go well, okay? Like, no, it didn't go well. Like him and Zori with the look at the end... Like,
which was totally improv.
Yeah. Just, can I kiss you now? And she's like, get out of here. He's like, all right, I gave it a shot. But, just like, I think they really nailed his humor in that movie. And, we talk about all the heroism and his arc and stuff, but also like Star Wars, the big part of Star Wars is that it's funny. And I really do feel like they brought it with Poe via Oscar Isaac, obviously, in The Rise of Skywalker, without a doubt.
Yeah, he got the most personality, I feel, in The Rise of Skywalker. Like, you got a chance to, like, really see Poe instead of just being this fighter pilot guy.
Yeah.
It's just, he was great.
People's problems, and this is my last, because we're probably up on time, I'm guessing. Mm-hmm.
Close.
But my last bit on Poe, and really ties into The Rise of Skywalker in general. Like, I'm not just trying to defend it incessantly, but... there are a lot of complaints from people about the movie, and they don't like this, they don't like the Palpatine thing, they don't like Rey's final arc, but I have not seen one person lay criticism to the three of them and their relationship in the movie.
Right.
Finn, Poe, and Rey. And that was what carried the movie for me. So maybe that's why I love the movie so much. And then you add in Chewie and 3PO, of course, too. And then when you look at the screen time list on IMDb, those are the 5 characters who have the most screen time, plus Kylo Ren. So that worked for me. And I don't know, it's sometimes my assessment of Star Wars is so simple, but Oscar Isaacs completely sold me on where Finn was a year later in those relationships. And I was just completely on board. And I feel like a just well-rounded way to end his character out. And now he's the leader of the Resistance with Finn. I think that's really cool. And I was satisfied to bring that word back again with how that character rounded out. So, and I hope, we get to see him again. So you guys have final thoughts?
Yeah, how awesome was that moment where he's sitting with Chewie and he's flying the Millennium Falcon and he's like, I know.
Yes.
Chewie's just yelling at him.
Speaking of which, did you hear Jonas gave his take on what he thinks Chewie said to Rey?
I almost said that earlier, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
you said that
I didn't
earlier?
say it, but no, I almost said it when Lacey was talking about something. But yeah, I didn't want to go off on Chewbacca, but yeah, Jonas's line is there is like, I'm glad, Rey, you're the pilot of the Falcon and not Poe, because he wrecks the ship every time he flies it or whatever.
Yeah. He's like, it's good that you're back in the pilot seat, and she goes, it is.
Yeah.
It's great.
But James, you guys have any final thoughts on Poe before we move on to transmissions?
He's the best, and I hope we get to see him again with Rey and Finn.
Lacey, you say everyone's the best. You said Finn was the best last week.
Because they're all the best.
Is anyone going to be not the best? Kylo Ren probably, right?
Palpatine.
Ooh, you're wrong.
Well, he's dead.
Is
twice
he?
now? Yeah.
I'm just very badly burned.
Right.
I do have one thing about Poe that always bugs me. And I don't know what the whole story is. I hear it pretty often. We've even mentioned it twice in this episode that originally Poe was supposed to die. And that never sits well with me, because at what point did they decide that they didn't want to kill the character? Because it feels like when people talk about this scenario, it's late in the game, or after they hired Oscar Isaac, or that was just an early script. My thing about it is I think people think it was way later in the game, but I don't understand how J.J. Abrams would have been moving forward with this trilogy without a trio. Like, okay, he wrote a character, Poe Dameron. Poe Dameron was going to die earlier in the movie, but at that point, in whatever script that is, script 1, script 5, I don't know, who was his trio?
Well, he had a character like Poe, and then he had a character like Finn, but it was one character, and he split it into 2, I believe, is the story.
Then who was this trio? Like, did you think J.J. Abrams was really going to move forward with like a dual thing, like Rey and Finn, and those are our new poster people?
Maybe.
You don't think he was?
I think there's an
planning
actual
from early in the beginning to like, I'm going to create 3 characters, and
I think there's an actual answer to this somewhere.
I'll have to look it up in my Art of the Force Awakens. I'm pretty sure though it was the character Sam was Finn and kind of Poe Dameron mixed together, and then he split them.
Yeah.
But that makes me think if that was the case, it would have had to have been very early in the production of the movie.
Oh, I think it was.
And so this whole like, well, originally Poe was supposed to die. I'm like what, when they were outlining what they thought this franchise was going to become? Like, I don't
Are
get
you
that.
trying to tell me they didn't have a plan from the beginning for this entire thing?
But I think part of it was because Oscar Isaac talked about how the character was going to die. Like in an interview. That's where it kind of started. Was like, he was like, oh, my character was going to die. And then...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, originally, the original script had him dying in that crash where Finn gets out or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
But he didn't, so that's good.
Which is great, which is why we're having this discussion.
I just don't like that whole like Finn, especially when it goes crazy and they're like, well, Finn, or I'm saying Finn again. Poe is unimportant in The Last Jedi because he wasn't even supposed to be in, the last shot of,
Who says
now
that?
They're just lots of people. A lot of people who don't like Last Jedi saying kind of what you were saying earlier, which was like Poe just doesn't, he causes the problems. He doesn't like move the story forward. He's not helping, he's hurting. And it's like, because they didn't know what to do with him because he was supposed to die in the first one and then they didn't kill him off. So he's this like sixth finger that they don't know how to handle.
All right, well,
yeah.
that's super negative.
Imagine if he did die.
That's a real thing.
When the TIE fighter crashed and we had the Poe Dameron discussion.
We wouldn't have it. You wouldn't make that the discussion.
That's the joke.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there we go.
Technically, before The Awakening
been a
came
bad
out,
joke.
before the movie, so we did know stuff about him.
Yeah, true. We could talk
Right.
about like back in the day, before the awakening of the Force, Poe Dameron grew up underneath a tree.
All right,
Wait.
what do we got? Is
Look,
that it?
guys, that's it for this discussion. Poe Dameron, he is a
all right.
he is a spice runner. First and foremost, the spice runner. That's at the top of his LinkedIn
Yeah.
page, actually. But no, great character. The arc for now is over, but will we see him again? We're not sure, but I personally would love to see more of Poe if they continue with these characters in the future. I think Oscar Isaac was great in the Rise of Skywalker. Would love to see more of him down the line. But let us know what you guys think about Poe Dameron's arc through the movies, through the comics, all of it. In the comments, are there any points that we missed on because of time? Just let us know. Keep the discussion going, and we'll obviously revisit Poe down the line some more. Of course, I'm sure he'll pop up in more comics and stuff like that down the line as well. But let us know, obviously in general, what you thought of our discussion here, and we appreciate that very much. But now it is time for us to hear from you guys in Resistance Transmissions. So, Lacey, what is going on this week? What are they transmitting to us?
All right, guys. Time
What has
for
Beaumont received?
Beaumont.
Resistance Transmissions. So how this works is every week there's a crazy, wacky situation that you guys get on Twitter from John. And you guys give your answers. And I don't know what it is, so I'm going to read it now, and then we're going to go through it. All right. So the scenario is, on his way to Exegol, Ben Solo saw there was a sweet BOGO sale on Henley shirts at Old Navy. This is my joke. I just want to put that out there. The Old Navy joke is my joke.
What's with you and like claiming ownership of things today?
I never make funny jokes, John. Let me have this one joke.
Was it just Monday you claimed ownership of Make Solo 2 happen?
That's because you said Han wasn't your pilot if you had to choose a pilot. Everybody just went,
First of all, you're going to have to reread the scenario because everyone already forgot it. Second of all, you go viral on Twitter and all of a sudden now you own everything. It's insanity.
You're ridiculous. Okay.
How many times did you write Star Wars is fun? Like 12?
Okay, so on his way to Exegol, Ben Solo saw there was a sweet BOGO sale on Henley shirts at Old Navy, so he stopped there first. But when he got to the counter, all his credit cards still say Kylo Ren. How does he convince the clerk that's him? All right, first up is Baby Yoda's Force Ghost at Let Live and Learn.
Spoiler.
And they said, he asks the clerk to hold the Henleys aside and quickly hurries to at Auntie Anne's pretzel stand. He orders a lemonade and chugs it on his way back. He puts the cup to his face and talks into it with perfect muffled voice distortion.
That's a good answer.
Matthew Wood would approve with that. He's like, that's how I created the voice.
Is that how he created the voice?
No.
Oh.
No.
Next up is Joey Sack at Joey Sack.
Hey, Joey, way to get your handle again. Do we have to say that to Joey every time?
Yes.
Right.
He says, and actually he wrote, he says, quote, "Hi, I'm Matt, the radar technician." And it's so unconvincing that the clerk is like, "You're Kylo Ren, dude."
SNL.
Rob Bartlett at RB7Rads said, he just says, that credit card belongs to me.
Nice.
Kylo 10 loved The Rise of Skywalker at Fulcromandor said, well, obviously he presents his student ID.
That's pretty good.
I was just very confused. I was like, wait, that's not his line. That's Unkar Plutt's line. But Unkar Plutt's line is, that's mine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, I literally was picturing him going, that belongs to me. And I was like, something's not clicking in my head.
Next up is Matt Skywalker at MIB1188.
No, you skipped someone.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I did The Kind Awakens. We just talked about it.
Nope.
That's what we just talked about.
There's
the one
two.
above that. Nope.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
What?
I'm confused.
Two of them are similar.
I did student ID.
Fulcrum Andor presents his student ID. Next is The Kind Awakens.
What are you talking about, John?
So you did Rob Bartlett, who said that credit card, it belongs to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then you did Kylo 10,
Yes.
and you did not do The Kind Awakens.
Oh, that's because I got interrupted. Let me keep going.
No, you
At
skipped it.
Decline Awakens, at Decline Awakens said, Ben, traitor, those shirts, ... belong to me. And the clerk says, come and get it.
Nice.
Nice.
Next up is a Matt Skywalker at MIB1188 says, reaches behind his head. Rey force passes object to him. He presents his old ID that still says Kylo Ren, shrugs. A little Ben Solo challenge. Next up is Adam Odell at Odell Adam,
How does he always get in this thing?
who says, pulls out his red lightsaber that he didn't actually throw away because he jumped into the ocean to get it because he realized how dumb it would be to throw away a perfectly good weapon as it is, after all, just a lightsaber, and doesn't actually make someone good or bad. Wow.
That's the perfect answer.
I had to breathe because it's just so much. Next is Sean Sanrud at Rude Cold, who said, Ben pulls out a red marker and draws a line down his face. You see, I am him. I am him. Really, I am. Don't make me use my mind tricks. I don't want to be bad anymore. Aww. Next up is Conversations at SWAtions. And they said, I feel it again. The pull to the lighter knits.
That's pretty good.
I think that's the best one. Scott Bogman at Scotticus Max. I feel like I do this every time. I'm sorry, Scott. He says, Darth Vader put these on layaway 40 years ago. I'm here to finish what he started.
That's a good. That's
Guys,
a nice end one.
It is. Guys, thank you so much for your answers. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. And every week, John puts up some crazy situation and you guys answer. And back to John.
All right.
Why are you laughing?
Because they're funny. What do you mean? We just did resistance transmissions. That's why.
Oh, great.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening and watching, being a part of the Resistance. If you're new to TRB, make sure you are subscribed to us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you find podcasts. If you are an Apple Podcast listener, do us a favor if you haven't yet. Hop into your app and rate us 5 stars. That's right. Count them. 5 stars, and leave a review if you'd like. That really does help us reach other people on that app, so we appreciate that. We may even get another one of those t-shirt contests going for you to send us your hashtag Rate the Resistance reviews. But again, if you're a YouTube subscriber, make sure you're liking and commenting and sharing this. The reason why we are growing is because you are spreading the word about our podcast. So please do share this with your fellow Star Wars fans. You'd be surprised how many people don't even know Star Wars shows or podcasts exist. So please help us out there. Make sure you're going to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for your latest Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. Patreon.com, as we talked about earlier. Patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. Go check out the page if you aren't sick of us 2 times a week. We have 8, 9, 10, something like that, mini episodes every month exclusively on there. In addition to a lot of other perks and benefits like a chat. Our generals and admirals do a call with us. There's a lot of great stuff. Go over there, patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. Check it out. If you want to support us, tiers start at $2 a month. That's it. tpublic.com/user/Resistance Broadcast. Get your Makes It Little 2 Happen t-shirts. You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Howie and writing and editing over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. Before I jet to these guys, I do want to give out another shout out to our Patreon generals. And that is Carmelo, Brian Shalito, Andrew Staley, Neil Lowry, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Reese, JG Kars, who you saw before, Seth Kime, Micah Harrison, Tampa Movie Guy, and Val Trichkoff. Generals, thank you so much. So I plugged me, I plugged them, and now I'm plugging James Bainey. James, what about you?
I don't know. You're plugging me. Let's not talk about this. Twitter and Instagram at Meyer Trunks.
That made no sense. Lacey, how about you?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin.
Right on. Guys, we have the Attack of the Clones commentary coming soon for you guys, and we're getting close to our next goal, which would be The Empire Strikes Back. So again, you patrons out there, thanks for your support. Those of you who are considering being supporters of us, go check it out. We're getting there, and it's thanks to you guys. But until then, Monday morning, we're back as always. The base will open. Enjoy your weekends, and we'll see you in a few days right here on the Resistance Broadcast. See you around, kids.
Yeah.